Welcome to Wisdom Unveiled. In this deep dive, episode 7 of 12, we're exploring the fascinating mind of Khajeh Nasir and Tusi.
That's right.
Specifically, we're looking at how he saw the interplay between, well, our rational intellect, what's sometimes called aql, and our intuitive insight, often referred to as shahud.
And this exploration, it draws quite a bit from some really insightful discussions with contemporary Iranian philosophers.
Yeah, exactly.
But before we, dive too deep, just a quick note for everyone listening. This is a translation of conversations with Iranian philosophers. Some details might not be fully conveyed. We do apologize for any discrepancies.
Thanks for adding that. So the big question we're tackling today is how these two seemingly different ways of understanding the world, our logical brain power, our reason, and then our gut feelings, our intuition, how they might actually work together, harmoniously, at least according to the perspectives on Tusi we've looked at.
Right. And a key piece here that really sets the stage is a letter from Sadr and Qunawi.
Yes, Qunawi, a major figure, wasn't he? A student of Ibn Arabi, a prominent mystic.
Exactly. Highly respected. And he wrote to Tusi. And the way he addresses him, it's quite remarkable. He uses these incredibly high honorific titles, like Master of Great Virtues, Pride of the Last and First.
Wow. Things like the best of the wise, Nasir Amilat wal Din.
And the point made in the discussions is that this wasn't just, empty flattery. It was seen as sincere admiration, signaling just how highly Qunawi regarded Tusi.
So that very interaction, this letter, it tells us something important about Tusi himself, doesn't it?
It really does. The fact that someone like Qunawi, a leader in mysticism, is engaging so deeply with Tusi, it suggests Tusi wasn't just a theologian, which is how some might primarily see him.
Right. He was clearly also a significant philosopher and maybe even a mystic in his own right.
Precisely. Capable of bridging these worlds, engaging with the deepest intellectual and spiritual questions. That ability, that sort of harmony we mentioned, seems key to understanding him.
Okay, so let's unpack that a bit more. The significance of this correspondence itself. What was it about the letters?
Well, one thing highlighted is Qunawi's desire for connection. He apparently wanted both face-to-face meetings and this written dialogue, since meeting wasn't always possible.
The letters became the way, like opening a door in connection, as one source put it.
Exactly. There's this concept, it basically means correspondence is one of the two types of real encounters, the other being, talking in person.
So writing itself becomes a powerful form of connection, of sharing deep ideas.
Absolutely. It underlines the power of the written word to forge that intellectual, even spiritual bond.
And this ties into that idea of Tusi as a philosopher of dialogue, someone really invested in this exchange of ideas, whether spoken or written.
And it wasn't just chit-chat, was it? The idea was that this dialogue actually does something. It leads to, what was the phrase? Completion of scientific forms. Yes, that's it. It suggests that through this back and forth, new insights emerge. Ideas get refined, they evolve. It prevents thought from just becoming stagnant.
Like sharpening ideas against each other.
Kind of, yeah. Or building upon them together. Even our own internal thinking, that inner dialogue, is crucial for growth. But this external exchange adds another dimension.
So this brings us back to Tusi's unique position, able to engage on both these intellectual and, well, mystical levels.
Definitely. It allowed for a truly meaningful connection with someone like Qunawi, going beyond, say, standard theological debate into something deeper.
Okay, let's shift to the content of Qunawi's communication. Our sources mention his focus on intellectual perfection. Takamul aklani. That's interesting coming from a mystic, emphasizing the intellect to Tusi.
It is interesting. And the idea behind it seems to be that perfecting the intellect isn't just about, being smarter in an abstract way. It actually expands your entire being.
Expands your being? How so?
It increases your wusati wujudi, your existential capacity. The thinking is, as you grasp more universal truths through your intellect, you become, well, more capable of participating in the fullness of reality.
Because reality itself has an intellectual structure, like that idea of the world is the manifestation of intellect, alamin zuhuri aklast.
Precisely. The intellect isn't just observing reality, it's connecting with its fundamental nature.
This leads into that really intriguing idea about universals and evil. The discussion proposes that intellect operates in the realm of universals, alam kuliyat, while evil, symbolized by Satan, is stuck in the details, the juziyat.
Yeah, can you break that down a bit? It sounds quite abstract.
Okay, think of it like this. Intellect naturally seeks the big picture, the unifying principles, the universals. Evil, in this view, works through division, specifics, distortions of particular things like individual desires or fragmented views.
Ah, I see. So evil works with the particulars, the juziyat.
Exactly. And because its nature is tied to these specifics, these details, it supposedly can't really access or operate in that pure realm of universal understanding that the intellect deals with.
So where does evil get its in? How does it influence us then?
Well, the idea is it comes through the channels that deal with particulars, our senses, which perceive specific things. Importantly, our imagination and lower desires, our wam, which can get fixated on specifics, illusions, and partial truths.
Right, these faculties are grounded in the Gini Dom.
But if you can elevate your consciousness, your thought, to the level of universals, to the Jahan Aql, the world of intellect,
You essentially close off that pathway. You starve the influence of evil, in a sense.
that seems to be the implication. By dwelling in the universal, you transcend the realm where evil primarily operates.
Okay, that makes more sense. And this connects back to Qunawi's high praise for Tusi.
It seems so. Qunawi, recognizing Tusi as having reached this goodness of the age, this husna-i dar, suggests he saw Tusi as someone operating at that universal intellectual level.
And that title some gave him, the guiding intellect of the 10th, Aqli Hadiye Ashur.
Yeah, while the specific cosmology of 10 intellects might be, let's say, historically specific,
Right, not current science.
the title itself signifies that Tusi was viewed as an embodiment of intellect, a guiding light. The overall take is that his works are fundamentally intellectual. Asare yukuli aklani ast.
Interesting. So his very being and work were seen as reflecting this high intellectual attainment.
Now, let's talk about connection again, but this concept of Mowasalat. The sources stress this isn't just about being physically near someone.
Right. You could be right next to someone and feel worlds apart. We've all felt that, I think.
Definitely. So true Mowasalat is what? A connection of minds, hearts.
Both, it seems, minds and hearts. It transcends the physical form. There's that Persian proverb mentioned, right, about how speaking the same language doesn't guarantee understanding.
Yeah, that's powerful. It highlights the need for choosing that shared feeling, that empathy.
Exactly. So Mowasalat, being a Babi Mufa'ala, implies a two-way connection, a real unity where each person is somehow present in the other's thought, in the alami fikr and alami aql.
Like Tusi and Qunawi, despite the miles between them.
Perfect example. Their letters created that Mowasalat, a unity of thought that brought them closer than, say, two people sitting silently side by side, but completely different mindsets.
So unity of thought brings closeness. Dispersed thought creates distance. It's primarily about the inner state, not the outer location.
Precisely. Nearness, union whistle. It happens first and foremost in the spiritual and intellectual realms. Think about it. Two stones next to each other are just near. But two people, even close physically, if their thoughts clash.
There can be conflict, distance.
Right. Whereas aligned thoughts can create connection across any physical gap.
And this idea gets scaled up, doesn't it? The discussion even hints that global peace, that universal peace people hope for.
It might depend on achieving this kind of unity of thought, arising above the purely personal or nationalistic viewpoint.
Yeah, stemming from an elevation of thought itself, Taliye and Disha. The dialogue between Tusi and Qunawi is presented almost as a model of this, a glorious dialogue, Goftoguyu Shukamand.
It's a beautiful ideal, and that poetic verse reinforces it. We were all one essence, an unadorned jewel. We came here and became segmented.
Highlighting that sense of original unity and our current state of, well, fragmentation.
And the need to reduce those divisions by elevating how we think and connect.
Which brings us inevitably to today. We have unprecedented technological connection, globalization.
Right. We can communicate instantly across the globe. Email, video calls, social media.
But is this the same as Mowasalat? Is this technology fostering that deep interconnection of minds and hearts?
That's the critical question raised. Is it just technical communication, or is there genuine spiritual and intellectual substance being exchanged? You can send messages instantly, but are they just tinsel messages? Superficial.
Or even manipulative.
That too. Does this constant stream of information actually bring hearts closer? Or does it sometimes create more noise, more division even?
It's a paradox. More connection tools, but maybe less deep connection.
It seems that way sometimes.
Yeah.
The call is for thinkers, people with that elevated thought, to step in and help lift the conversation above the level of just sensory or imaginative conflicts based on immediate gain or perceived differences.
But often, the discussion notes, the truly great thinkers seem silent amidst the noise.
And meanwhile, we see things like cyber warfare, soft war. These are conflicts playing out precisely at that level of imagination, national interest, personal gain. It's still a kind of contention takalob.
So the solution proposed is raising the horizon, thinking at a more human, more spiritual level to actually reduce conflict.
That seems to be the core idea, to find that unity beyond the surface differences. Because even with all the tech, we see thought diverging more and more, sometimes even within families.
It's like we need to actively destroy the Congress of Division, as one source put it.
It's a strong phrase, but it captures the challenge.
And part of the challenge might be how we engage with all this information and technology. The sources acknowledge the wonders of science, of course.
Absolutely. But they also warn about a kind of easy-seeking behavior it can encourage, a weakening of deep thought, perhaps.
Like fast food for the mind. Quick consumption, but it doesn't nourish contemplation or introspection.
That's a good analogy. If we're always focused outward, on the surat, the external form.
We neglect the Batin, the inner self.
Right, and everything becomes a kind of text. The world, books, technology itself. These texts can feel both familiar, because we use them, but also foreign, because we don't always engage deeply with their meaning.
So genuine understanding requires a dialogue with these texts to get past the surface, uncover the underlying questions, overcome that foreignness.
Exactly. It's about engaging sincerely, honestly, to remove that alienation begun as you die and achieve a sense of familiarity, which is where peace resides. We're constantly navigating between feeling alienated and feeling connected or familiar.
And the goal is to move towards familiarity, towards understanding.
Yes. Which brings us back to that inner self. There are some powerful verses mentioned. Do your own work. Do not do the work of the stranger.
And who is the stranger?
Your earthly body, for which you are sorrowful. You nourish the body, but you do not see the jewel of the soul, O foolish one.
The jewel of the soul, Gorijan, that feels like the heart of it. Is that what's missing today, despite all our external progress?
The discussion suggests that, yes, humanity feels a kind of bewilderment, a thirst for that inner essence, that Gorijan, that's been lost or neglected.
So the need is to reopen that path, to spirituality, to the soul, to start speaking a language that resonates on that deeper level.
Yes, to speak in a way that opens humanity's spiritual ears again. There's a call for new words. Speak a new word so that the two worlds may be renewed. It will pass beyond the limit of the world, boundless.
New words, where do they come from?
From a new soul, apparently. A soul connected to the ultimate source, to truth, to hack. Words rooted there are constantly fresh, never stale, and they have the power to transform.
Unlike words that are just repetitive, disconnected from that source.
Those become tiresome, empty. Rumi's verse is used here too, but a soul arriving constantly fresh from the unseen, like a flowing river, unless bodily attachments block the flow.
That addresses the criticism you sometimes hear, that religion or spirituality is stagnant, doesn't it?
It does. The argument is that such criticism comes from not understanding mystical experience, Irfan. If you're connected to the infinite source, like a river connected to the ocean.
You can't be stagnant. The ocean doesn't go stale.
Exactly. Because it's boundless. Reaching that boundlessness, connecting to the infinite within, prevents staleness.
This connects to those concepts of first and last time and inner and outer place.
Right. Usually we think of first last as time, inner outer as space, but the point is both dimensions exist within us. Our inner being, our Batin, is connected to the infinite.
But we tend to focus on the external, the limited.
Often, yes. And the critique extends to some philosophical traditions, particularly in the West, for allegedly severing that connection to the unseen, to the inner self.
Rumi again. Human is the essence, and the heavens are subservient to him. But we seek knowledge only from books, or taste only from literal sweets.
Oh, superficial one. For every knowledge, a world is hidden. In 3 spans, a world is hidden. We see the 3 spans, the external, the physical.
But miss the hidden world within because we're looking outward, not inward.
A powerful reminder to balance our focus.
It really is.
Yeah.
So bringing this all together, a final thought for you listening. Considering this distinction Tusi helps us see between just outward connection and that deeper inner unity, how might understanding his perspective on harmonizing intellect and intuition influence your own pursuit of knowledge and maybe even meaning in your life?
That's definitely something to reflect on. Thank you for engaging with this deep dive into Khajeh Nasir and Tusi's wisdom here on Wisdom Unveiled.
And please join us for our next exploration in episode 8.
This has been Wisdom Unveiled.